So without further ado, let's dive into the third edition of Behind the Goat. So, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today in another session of Behind the Goat. So, for those of you who have never joined us in a Behind the Goat session, we talk about each of our products. You get to meet different people in the team and talk about their experiences and our thinking behind how we've created the product and come to what we've built for you here today. So I'll let Daijo introduce himself.
Hey everyone, familiar with some of you guys in the chat already, but hi, I'm a product manager at Mighty Bear Games. So if you play Mighty Action Heroes, was the product lead on that. And these days, I'm actually focused on just Goat in general, and also working with our kind of developers and partners to build games. So like Waifu Clash is one of them, and I'll talk a bit more about like how we co-developed the game with a partner and the speed of like how we made this game and everything. So yeah, nice to meet everyone.
Awesome. And of course, as usual, we've got the goated goat overlord, who obviously all of you are pretty familiar with. And I guess we've got Accent in the audience as well. So you can say hello, Accent, who is our Web3 product lead. So why don't we just kick it off? So do you want to just tell us a little bit about Waifu Clash, Abel, and just the journey of creating the product?
Yeah, so as you know, on Goat we want a lot of just quality games and games that people find really appealing in general. And so we took a look at the types of games we could create, and we had a bunch of ideas. But obviously, our team is we can only work on so many things at a time, and so we also kind of looked at what partners we could work with. And we have a very close relationship with this team, Menkibo from Jakarta. And we had this idea for a game that we wanted to launch with them, and ultimately became Waifu Clash. And it's based off, if any of you played Cult of the Lamb, it's based off the dice game called Knuckle Bones. And so we decided to co-develop the game with them, and the end result is obviously what you guys see. And we're actually still working with them. We're preparing a couple updates for the game, and it's kind of really interesting to see you guys hop on the game, give feedback. And internally ourselves, we were also kind of surprised at kind of the speed at which we were able to work on this game together with them. And the relationship has been very fruitful. So you guys should see a whole bunch of more updates and potentially even more games that we work with them. So please keep playing and giving your feedback, and hopefully we can put out more updates to Waifu Clash and put it out for everyone to play on kind of all different platforms.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a really great asset to have close partners in the space that can help us to kind of execute things to like the level of quality that we want and the speed that we need it at. So it's really good to hear that. I wanted to kind of just press on the fact that we also love the fact that Waifu Clash is very much a core part of the experience that we want to bring in Goat Gaming. I know that many of you might have heard this before, but for those who haven't, one of the major aha moments that we had when building Mighty Action Heroes was the fact that when we had the 1v1 showdown matches, we had that spinning wheel where you can get up to, somebody puts in 10 gems and I put in 10 gems to play, and then you could win up to 10x what both of you put in as a prize. And that kind of lottery style winning mechanism kind of shot our numbers up in terms of retention through the roof, 80% day one and 50% day seven. And it was one of those like really sticky, really joyful like parts of the game system. And that kind of head-to-head PvP sort of experience is something that we wanted to try and replicate and make that the core experience on Goat Gaming. So
Yeah.
Waifu Clash is, I guess, I mean, Daijo, please continue.
Yeah. Thanks for kind of touching on that, and it's something we want to see replicated in different genres across different types of games. And so we've basically taken the essence of showdown matches in MAH and kind of try to see, where else could we kind of implement showdown type gameplay with wagering, and then see it kind of be successful in a separate genre. I think all the games you'll see on Goat going forward, it's going to have some element of that. But also, we've heard feedback from you guys about the different costs, to play a game. What sort of other features you would like to see in there? So, yeah, the feedback has been received, and we're already working on some updates that we'll probably be able to share with you guys very soon. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to take a step back on that, what was the thinking of? Because I know there's some of the feedback is around like the the crowns that you need to play. Like, what was the thinking? Because I think there was a really a good original thesis that we had, which I think still holds up, but maybe we need to make it a little bit more accessible beyond
Yeah.
what it currently is.
Yeah, so obviously with the crowns, we wanted to try having different crown entry fees for the game, and you'll see actually in MEH we've been trying out slightly higher entry fees. Obviously, the price that you get from winning is more. So with Waifu Clash, we wanted to try different values, almost kind of like a test to see the impact it would have on matchmaking. I know a few of you have been, having trouble finding opponents and stuff like that. And with showdown matches in MEH, there's like a 2-hour time window where everyone gets on and plays. So it's very easy to find a match with a real player. And with Waifu Clash at the moment, like all the matches are with real players, and so we don't want, we want to have an experience where people should be able to queue in and find an opponent very very quickly. And I'm working on some features with Menkibo to kind of highlight and showcase that. But obviously, we're also seeing some of the numbers based on the entry fee that we set currently. I think it's 420. And we're probably going to lower that. I'm still working on the exact value, but also we're adding in the new game mode soon, which will help alleviate some people's concerns. I think it will probably be very popular, that that game mode, because you basically can play for free. But yeah, maybe I can start talking about that, sharing a little bit more.
Yeah, tease it. I think we're
So
always looking for some alpha.
yeah, so one of the things that we have wanted to do since the beginning was to give people, a way to play for free, and then obviously start earning some crowns. As you can already, buy crowns and wager and kind of like, put crowns in different kind of various entry fees and then earn more from them. But we also want to give people a chance, if you are a long time player, if you are, have been in the ecosystem for a while, to earn free crowns. And so right now you have the daily free claim on the Goat Gaming page, but we want to obviously put more of those mechanics inside the games themselves. So starting with Waifu Clash, the next update, you should be able to play for free, multiple times a day, and then earn crowns for free when you win a match. And so obviously there will be some restrictions. There will be a set amount of crowns you can earn every day, and it's a different amount depending on whether you win or lose. But you should be able to just hop on to Waifu Clash, play a match with an AI, and then stand a chance to win crowns, which you can then take into real matches. With the AI, I know you mentioned, like a few people, started playing and then found that playing with AI was kind of easy. Internally, when we were testing, there's actually a couple different difficulties of the AI. So the one we put in the practice mode or in the free play at the moment actually just plays, randomly. So it will place cards as and when. But we have another version of the AI that actually plays like optimally. So like it'll try to actually remove your cards like a real player. It's still kind of random, so we're not going to control what type of cards the AI gets. But when we roll out this new update, people that play should have a much better experience. I mean, like a more challenging experience, but it's still really accessible and easy to understand. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is, as you mentioned, is based on the feedback that we've gotten to kind of include this mode in the game. But we are also looking into making sure that we can actually protect the other side of the game, because I know
Mhm.
somebody earlier mentioned that they liked the fees, and
Mhm.
the thinking around the original set of fees was, when you play a game, like games are better with prizes, right? And
Mhm.
so the higher the fee that you put in, the potential higher the prize that you can get, and that kind of,
Correct.
especially when you're head to head against someone, it kind of really kind of adds that adrenaline to it because of the potential prize or the potential loss, right? And so
Yeah.
it really kind of awakens your skills to really make sure that you play well. And so I like that stakes gaming, and I think that's what the joy of the 1v1 showdown was. And so trying to get that in, but at the same time trying to make sure that we can be as inclusive of people who want to just play for fun and don't want to have to worry about having to buy crowns.
Yeah. Obviously, you alluded to the fact that like having high stakes automatically makes the game a little bit more tense. You anticipate the next, card a bit more. And internally doing testing as well, we had people yelling in the office when they rolled the exact card that they want, and it was very exciting. So I think we want to keep that in the game, but at the same time, we're looking at ways that we can offer different entry fees for different types of players. But also we're looking at like the total number of players we have at every point in time in the day, and we just want to make sure that players are able to join and find a match really really quickly. Yeah, higher risk, higher adrenaline rush, and more fun. That's true.
Exactly. So just to pivot a little bit, as we kind of move into the next phase, I know you alluded to some changes that we're making, but any other sort of alpha you want to drop on talking about what players
Mhm.
can expect, not just from Waifu Clash, but also from Goat Gaming?
Yeah. So I alluded to we want to put Waifu Clash in as many places as we can, and so different types of players can experience the game. When we first set out to make the game, it was mobile kind of focused. So as you can right now, you can already play the game on mobile, but we also want to reach a much wider audience. And so the plan is for at least for the next update, we want to launch Waifu Clash on Telegram. And we're working pretty hard to kind of make the game available. If you have a Goat gaming account, you should be able to log in and be able to access your current account, see all your crowns in there. If you're a new player, you should be also able to access the game really easily. But the goal from the team is really to have players have the lowest barrier of entry as much as possible, like super accessible. You might be able to share this with your friends, and they can just like they don't have to install anything. They just pull up the game on Telegram and just be able to start a match with them. Um, and also, I saw some feedback from the chat about the most used strategy, where you can skip a turn when you're a low value card. So we're also looking into that. Originally, I actually felt like that was a valid strategy, but after doing some additional math and then kind of um, doing some checks, we actually realized that that does actually increase your expected value of winning. And so we're gonna make it so that the next from the next update, if you have a low value card and if you try to skip your turn, it will just play it in a random column. Uh, so you have to play your card that turn. So that's something that we're looking at. Yeah.
No, I literally save I literally win games because of that.
Yeah.
Um, but good to know. Good to know. So, Abel, or Daijo, tell us more about like what are some of the hardest things about the process of building a game like this?
Mhm. Really, the hardest part is being able to get feedback, right? So, you know, when we test internally, we get a lot of feedback from the team and people that really play the game a lot. But it's very different when you put the game out there, right? When we put this game out, a couple weeks ago, we did a test with all the kind of use all of you guys, and got the feedback from from people that played the first couple of games. So immediately, like we're seeing a lot more of I guess like uh, feedback about more about the different types of strategies people are using, the different quirks that they like or dislike about the game, and using that feedback, it really helps the team figure out like, okay, players really care about this, so we should probably fix that in the next update. Or people are concerned about the high prices and we want to make the game more accessible, so obviously let's try to get like a mode that people can just play for free and then earn something and look forward to playing every day. But also, we want to make sure that the game is easy to understand. And so you might notice that this game doesn't actually have a tutorial. Originally, there was a tutorial that we put people through, but we realized that actually the gameplay is very simple, and most people end up just skipping the tutorial anyways, and so they don't actually learn anything from the tutorial. So it's wasted kind of resources. So just to kind of get the game out there in early access for you guys, we just put the tutorial in the main menu, and it seems like most people got the game. So I think for now it will remain that way, but it's stuff like that if we want to put a game out really really quickly and get feedback, sometimes there will be some rough edges here and there, but that's something that I think Mighty Bear is generally pretty good at, is getting feedback from the users and incorporating that in the next couple updates.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think that that's a really important part of building, especially alongside the community, is like really taking on the feedback in earnest and being able to sort of, at least, especially if it's of value, and it's what the audience wants, we can execute it quite timely and efficiently.
Yeah, and
I've got
also
a question.
the speed at which we can give updates, right? Like we want to move fast, but also like we have to make sure that we incorporate like the right feedback, but also have a solid plan on like what we want to update next. Yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely, it's got to be within the strategy that we're building. I wanted to just quickly catch up on some questions, or a question in the audience. So, Skill Gaming has asked, do you consider giving more cards that people can choose from instead of just one?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's a couple like gameplay stuff that we were thinking of doing, but at least for the first version, we wanted to keep it like really simple and see how people kind of take on the game. So that's a good idea, which is basically like in a common, in most card games, you have like this mulligan phase where you have like 3 cards and you get to pick which ones you want to go for. But generally speaking, like most people will either like in this game anyways, like we were thinking about that, and most people would just either pick the highest value card or a card that they have that they can match with. So there isn't really a lot of like decision making process there. So we decided to keep things simple and then randomize it. But one thing we were thinking of trying would be a way for you to kind of hold on to your current card and then get a new one. So if you ever played like some of the Tetris games, you have a block, but then you can like store a block and then the game gives you another one, but then you can pull out that block, during another turn, for example. So there's like more interesting mechanics like this that we are looking at, but I don't have a timeline as to like whether or not we'll get them in. But yeah, definitely like more interesting gameplay. And there's also stuff that we heard from some of you, like having different effects on different lanes, maybe giving the one card a bit more value. So like maybe if you match 3, then the multiplier is higher, stuff like that. So that's something that we received the feedback from, and then we're thinking about which ones we want to implement and which ones are more fun.
Yeah, I know that I was there for the conversation when we were talking about in the office when it's a real challenge to kind of keep the gameplay simple because you want an ecosystem that people can jump in and don't need to spend
Hmm.
too much time trying to figure out complex gameplay. Um, but also you want to kind of be able to make this enough of a skill-based game that people feel like they have control over the outcome.
Yeah.
But
It's
you
like
know,
it's a
that's a
balancing
very
act, right? Yeah.
it's a very
Yeah.
challenging balancing act. Speaking of like games that you know, you come up with and design, could you give the audience a little sneak peek to what people can expect in the future, obviously with our next game, and what kind of mechanics are you kind of playing around with in building?
Yeah, so this is obviously not the only game that we're going to be shipping soon. There's a couple more in the works. But generally speaking, like in terms of time commitment and skill level, we generally want the games that we are shipping, coming up next, to still be very fun and still be kind of, really enjoyable, like short burst experiences, but still like skill based. So we don't want it to be completely random. But we are exploring ways where you can play with more players, so not just 1v1. Still, keeping the showdown mechanics, being able to enter for crowns and win more, and different types of genres. I mean, that's most of the alpha I can give, but you should expect that most games would be playable on Telegram and on mobile. I think that's pretty much a given going forward. That's functionality that we're building in for all our games, and so you should be able to play the game anywhere on the go and have a competitive experience.
Yeah, it's interesting as well because you know, this company is essentially a mobile first and sort of mobile expertise game. And I remember from the last session that you know, Ben was explaining how, you know, when we built Mighty Action Heroes,
Hmm.
it was naturally and most enjoyably on the mobile. And I think a
Hmm.
few of our even like partners said that when it came out on the phone, it was like much more enjoyable just because building for desktop is a whole other ball game and it's a different experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
To what we have or what we expect on mobile.
Yeah, and with Mighty Action Heroes, it's still gonna be there, and we're still gonna hold like regular tournaments and leaderboards. But the next couple of games will I think will be slightly lighter in terms of like skill level. So we want more players in the ecosystem. We want more players of different kind of skill types and skill levels. But we still want the game to be competitive and something that you can improve over time. So most, all the games that we're looking at um, are kind of, have those pillars, design pillars, and this is something that we're looking towards.
And of course, something that you can play with friends, which is an important factor. Which also I think is not used enough in a social app like Telegram PvP, where you can really kind of go head to head with friends in that moment.
Hmm.
But yeah, something for the future.
Yeah.
Um, so I have a question for you. Accent's asking how much can you share about Telegram? Okay, so Accent wants us to share some stuff about Telegram. Can you tease any upcoming games that might or might not have been shared somewhere on Twitter? Asking for a friend. Yeah, I don't
Uh,
know if any of you noticed, but the some stuff has leaked onto Twitter,
oh,
which is
really?
fine. But
Interesting.
yeah, one of the games definitely has leaked onto Twitter, but I guess it was in a playable state. So
Yeah.
Simon has been
Yeah.
sharing left, right, and center.
So yeah, so if you if you've seen any of those leaks, you might have seen like this puzzle game. I think it's called Mighty Pets and Puzzles. That's actually one of our older games that we worked on as a studio. We actually made that game with how many people was that? Like less than 13 people in the studio. It was basically this puzzle MMO, which is like you have a character, you can go around and kind of collect monsters, and these monsters have abilities that can affect your board. And the board gameplay is a little bit like Candy Crush. So if you ever play Candy Crush, a mastery game, then you kind of you kind of know how to play the game. As an experiment, we, decided to try and see how quickly we could get a game, one of our old games, and put it on Telegram. And that's the result. So if if you poke around Twitter, if you go have a look, you might you might be able to find that bot. And obviously the people here have like the earliest alpha, but you can go check out that game, and you can actually see that like a lot of people are talking about Telegram bots and Telegram games, but a lot of the games that we're seeing are very simple, kind of like idle games. They're maybe like clickers. But actually, you can run pretty solid experiences on Telegram, and that's one experiment that we saw. Like, hey, we can actually run a full, 3D game. It runs very smoothly. You don't need to download anything. It loads almost immediately. So we definitely see it as like a very strong future, platform where we can attract a lot of users very easily. What's the lowest barrier of entry to games when everyone already has a messaging app, right? Like you just pull up the same messaging app and you can play games, and very high quality games. So that's something that we, I think was a very successful experiment, and it really helped us enforce the idea that okay, yeah, we're on the right track. And so we really kind of started thinking about building more games and more content for Telegram. Yeah.
Yes, and I think we had a big debate before we kind of started doing the venture into Telegram. Because Telegram, I think some people who may have encountered it might think, well, is this just another fad? But as a mobile gaming studio, we know that the market is really looking for the next distribution channel that has like the potential to be as friction free as Telegram has the potential to be. Right now, we have walled gardens like Apple, and you have so many rules and regulations where you really can't. It limits your ability to be creative. You're as a sort of from a growth perspective as well. When you're trying to be innovative and you're busy trying to sidestep all these rules and regulations to make sure you don't get kicked off of Apple, it stifles creativity. And so it's actually so exciting to be able to the conversations we have, like as a team, and like when we're building something and the sky's the limit, and you're suddenly realizing that hey, we can activate the existing friendships that people have on Telegram, or it superpowers growth in a way that it has been quite hard to achieve in a long time. So really think fundamentally there is a huge opportunity in Telegram, and I think again people are sorry, I'm going to go on now, but people do think that I think I see this where people are like, oh, it's just another Telegram game, but I think people are doing that thing where you see a couple of hits and then you see like 100 copycats, and you've seen a couple of hits like Notcoin and Hamster Coin, and they're clickers, right? And so now you see 100 different clickers on the market, and it's like, okay, you've just bored us to death with a bunch of clickers. But actually, like the next step is like, how can you innovate beyond the clickers? What experiences could you bring? How can you leverage these existing networks inside of Telegram to kind of create more delightful experiences?
Yeah, and I on I want to leak like more alpha, but basically we're also thinking about doing more stuff on Telegram than just being able to play the games, right? So um I want to share like a ton of stuff, but I'll probably get kicked off the space. So the TLDR is that you should want to check the Telegram bot when we release it. There's gonna be more than just games on there. There will be ways, potentially for you to earn more rewards from the Telegram bot. But definitely, like all the games going forward, you'll be able to have a good experience from Telegram.
Yeah, and I think the Telegram experience also will be massively helped with some of our upcoming announcements, which will really pave the way to make. We're making some interesting announcements in the next week to month, and that should really kind of improve the frictionless experience that we kind of really want and need to get to that multi-million user base.
Yeah. it's hard to talk about something where you can't really talk about something.
Yeah,
It's tough.
yeah. I know he's kind of skirting around things and then end up saying nothing. I wanted to ask you, Abel, since I know you've been playing the game a lot, what are your top strategies for winning Waifu Clash?
One of my top strategies. Um, Actually, internally, before we released, we had one of our QA testers actually used the you know the skip when you have one or two cards. And I actually thought that strategy was really bad because I always won against that strategy. But my strategy is actually, just to make sure that you don't always just cancel out other people's. Um, because sometimes, if you look at your existing board, there might be ways where, if they lock up one of their columns, then they can actually play, they can't actually destroy your own cards in that column. So, if they put like 3 1s or 3 2s in one of the columns, then maybe it's your kind of signal to put like, 5s and 6s on one of the columns. But at the same time, it's also tricky because you have to make sure that they can't end the game and end the game suddenly. So it's a balancing act. Unfortunately, there's no way to control what card you get next. I know some people have asked me like, is there a secret code you can put in that always gives you like 5s and 6s? But yeah, you can't. It's completely random. There's no pattern. You don't bother. There's no seed or anything like that. This is really completely random. So yeah, best of luck to everyone in the game.
Yeah, that's really funny you said that because every time I see someone who I draw a card where I can cancel someone else's out, my instinct is just to cancel it out. But you do
I've
make a
seen
good
I've seen
point.
a game. I've seen a game where somebody got like trees the entire game, and I think that's even more difficult than like winning the lottery. I want to know the odds for that. Like every single car was like a tree, which is insane. I thought it was a bug at first, but it was just random.
Wow, they really won the lottery, but probably lost the game.
Yeah, he lost the game, but it was still really funny.
So, going back to the questions, pretty much from Accent in the audience. I have some. We can pivot and talk a little bit about the Genesis goats. Well, you brought it up, Accent, now, so it's too late. Yeah, so the Genesis goats. Do you? I guess this is not necessarily what you've specifically been working on. This is actually something that Accent's been working on, so I don't know why he's asking us to talk about
Bring
it.
him on the stage.
Accent, I think you're going to be dragged on the stage now.
That's fine.
Explain to everyone what's going on with the Genesis Goat. So
I mean,
yeah,
I work very close with Accent on this as well. So happy to share our thoughts around that.
Yeah, why don't you share some alpha for
Hey,
you
Abel, you got this. Sorry, I didn't want to derail. Go on.
Well, I'll start it off. I think something that I really find exciting. I'm kind of coming at this from a relatively new member of the team. Still pretty much just like 3 months in. And so what I really think is cool is that as an infrastructure company, we kind of take things and build it ourselves where possible. And most of the time in crypto where I've worked is like you're always advised not to do the mint yourself. And it's a tough thing to do. And it has lots of risks, and you need to know what you're doing in order to like host a mint yourself on your website. But Mighty Bear Games has already done that once before, right? And we're doing it again. And so I'm really excited to share the mint info page when it's ready to go, which is very soon. Do either of you want to sort of expand on that a little bit and the experience of building that?
I guess I can jump in and maybe Accent you can talk a bit more about it because you're closer to it. But it's not, I guess, our first time building a mint page, but we've definitely had a lot of learnings since the first couple mints that we've done. The space is also very different, and I guess the extra challenges with this is not just a normal mint, right? a lot of you have Big Bear Syndicate NFTs, and you have Mighty Knight Genesis Pass NFTs, and we're also going to do a conversion. So it's a little bit more tricky than that, but at the same time, any of you who have been with us since the very beginning, you know that our kind of main page that we kind of develop ourselves generally have been pretty smooth. No major issues. Generally, we want performance to be really, really good. And we want all the info that you need to know to be available on the page in a kind of nice to digest format. So we paid kind of extra attention to the design, the layout, to try to give you as much info as possible without kind of overloading you. And so, really excited to see you guys check out the mint section of the site and to kind of eventually mint the goats, because I think like a lot of you will also be pleasantly surprised at the quality. Axon, you want to say a few words?
Sure. I thought it was your stage. No, I mean, you said it well, Abel, Digel. Yeah, we did some last touches today. We did a play session today. We do another one tomorrow just to make sure things are smooth and working. And as you said, it's a migration and a mint, so it's a lot of it's like playing 4D chess. It's kind of like figuring out what are the best mechanics, considering all different edge cases and all that. I guess in terms of dates, Coco, do you want to share the dates again so that everybody knows exactly what's happening, that they're all in the know? I know you planned this out perfectly, so I'm just here, the guy in the audience nagging you.
Yeah, well, we do have a very solid plan of revealing all the information, but since you guys are here, so our core group of audience, I'm happy to leak some more alpha. So the mint page is going live tomorrow, so you will be kind of all the information that you're pretty much looking for will be revealed tomorrow, whether that's the mint timings, price, and then of course we have the anticipated lottery, which is not going to, so you'll be able to see like exactly what your chances are of winning the lottery. And so I think it's quite a nice addition, because sometimes you kind of calculate these things in your head, and it's just not the same when you see it in the screen. You're like, okay, I have this much chance of winning the lottery. What do I want to play the game and try my luck with the lottery, or do I want to just sort myself out and get guaranteed, so I don't have the stress of being disappointed. Although it is, I mean, we all think that actually is a positive win-win situation, actually. So I'm tempted actually with my bears to just be like, YOLO, and see if I
wait.
can...
I can't wait till I get my goats. Like I need a new PFP. So
yeah, I'm waiting. I'm going to change my PFP too. That's actually one of the reasons, I think, just to give a bit of context around like I think maybe there was a little bit of confusion around like we having a PFP, but it's actually a Genesis NFT, like a Genesis pass. Instead of a Mighty Net Genesis pass, it is the Goat Gaming Genesis pass. But we made it a PFP because I think it's super powerful when you have an NFT that is something you can also build a brand around. I know in the crypto space, I just love how people can build and be creative with the NFT and have that attachment. And I think that brings people so much closer to a brand. And this is an ever evolving thing. So like there's some things in the pipeline with our AI tooling, which I definitely cannot talk about at this moment in time, but we kind of want to be able to give people a launch pad from which they can create their own stuff. And what better inspiration than the PFP and sort of the brand that brings everything together. Learning from obviously the existing Genesis passes. I mean, as a DGen myself, I don't necessarily connect with just like ERC 1155 where they're all the same, even though they may have like strong utility. I think that there needs to be some kind of emotional connection to it. And I know they say art doesn't matter, but I think it does have a fundamental power.
I think the artist really cooked on this one. I can't wait for you guys to have a look at some of the some of the art, and I think the brand is really strong. So kudos to the art team.
Yeah, working around the clock, for sure. Also, so I was going to say, is there any questions from the audience before we start wrapping things up? So I see Go to Tokyo heard the mint date on a Twitter space, and I was questioning if I heard it right. So it's early next week. So so for context, if you're a holder of Mighty Net Genesis Pass or Big Bear Syndicate, we want to make sure that you have ample time to claim, because you've essentially already bought your NFT through buying the Genesis Pass, for example. So you will get a couple of days to mint. So please do plan your time. You will get a couple of days to mint. So please do plan your time. Hope that should be ample time for you to claim. And if that is a major issue, obviously we are always willing to hear you out. But and then the mint phase will be considerably shorter. And then we're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
When results of loyalty? Very good question. So we will be looking at that. Want to make sure we give enough time for everyone to sort of nominate themselves, but I think probably I'll probably do it over the weekend or late Friday, and then we'll get it onto the wallet checker on Monday. So another thing to consider is, I know that we've been giving out whitelist allow list allocations in the Discord. Goated Overlord will be collecting the first list of Goated Rolls wallets. Well, should have done kind of today or maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure what the status is, but there will be another round of collections because we're still giving out the last few rolls. So please don't worry. We are going to make sure that if you got the Goated roll and you sent in your wallet, you will be on the allow list. Yes, Goat Overlord has the first batch. But if you've been missed out, but you have the Goated roll, do not worry. We're doing another batch. Question. So why Telegram game from Habibi Billions? Yeah, so we discussed this briefly before. I think from like a business perspective, and also because we are actually a mobile first, mobile native team. So we've always been building for mobile, and that's our strength. And so we can build great experiences, but also cracking the code to distribution is one of the hardest and still untapped issue that we have in mobile gaming. I mean, the reality is like traditional mobile gaming studios just can't really make a good revenue or turnover with the traditional methods. It's just far too expensive to do like user acquisition, and then on top of it with fees that Apple charge, for example, it's just not a fundamentally business savvy thing to do anymore. And so we need to find a new way of tapping into user bases. And so that was one of the things that we challenged each other internally about, like whether Telegram is it a passing fad or is it something that has real legs? And you can't deny that this app has 900, almost 1 billion daily active users. They are building their sort of tech stack. They have proven successes with the likes of Notcoin and Hamster Coin. But where I think we will have the innovation and difference is that, like we typically see in crypto and a lot of other spaces, you see one winner and then you just get like 100 copycats. Well, we're trying to be different here, where we see the fundamental opportunity, but we're going to be innovative around it and stick to what we're good at, right? Making good games.
Yeah.
So
there was also something that we discussed internally, where one of the advantages of being on a platform like Telegram is that Telegram as a platform is very also crypto friendly. As you know, they have their own built-in wallet. Obviously, it supports the TON network right now, but in general, they're very favorable towards crypto. So it also allows us to unlock a few more functionality like things in our game. And then the last thing is also like it's super lightweight. So it's a chat app, and a lot of you already use Telegram or use the chat app in some way to communicate with your friends. So it's already kind of like part of everyone's kind of routine almost. Like I personally check Telegram multiple times a day. And so being on a platform where you already have the eyeballs really helps growth and really helps traction versus something that you need to convince someone, for example, to download on their device. You may have like a more fleshed out kind of 3D app experience if you have, a big budget type of game. But if in the last couple of years, it's been increasingly tough to break that space. Also, like, Google and Apple have added a lot more restrictions in terms of what you can and can't ship. And ultimately, the platform kind of visibility and marketing on the platform is ultimately controlled by Apple and Google, and you have to play by their rules. But Telegram is more, kind of open. It's kind of new. So there's a lot more opportunities to capture the market there. Yeah. Yeah. Like we've seen also a lot of success from projects like Notcoin, like Hamster Combat. We're not gonna do another kind of clicker idle game because I think that's been already done to death. So we're trying to carve like Coco said our own niche, and we want to use Telegram as a growth opportunity and a growth platform. And there are some stuff we're doing on the Telegram side that is very exciting. I think Coco and the team and we'll share more. But we're really cooking pretty hard, starting with the games, and we're connecting them very closely to our Telegram strategy.
Yeah, thank you, Daijo, for that context. Okay, I think I'm going to, unless there's any sort of extra questions, I think we're probably coming to time a little bit. So I'm just going to give a few more minutes for anybody to ask any final questions that they have, or any final comments from you, Daijo or Accent.
No, I mean I'm working really hard with the developers on next update. So I think we'll share more about when we're shipping that update. The one where you have to play the cards, and you can't skip a turn, and also the free play game mode. But that should be in the next week or next 2 weeks. So yeah, looking forward to shipping that and getting you guys to play that, and then also shipping the next couple of games on the platform.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. Daijo, was really, really great to hear everything that you do at Mighty Bear Games and Goat Gaming. And thanks for the impromptu visit, Accent. Always love your negging.
You both did well. Well done.
Thank you.
We just pulled him into
it's-
the space, even though he was just coming from another space on Twitter.
Yeah, so if people heard when the minting happens, I might have dropped something on the other
Leaked
space.
We need to stop leaking stuff on
Skill Gaming already posted, so if you pay attention, you know. But everything else will be up tomorrow evening anyway, so you see all the times and all that. Yeah.
All right.
Unless Coco, you want to share it, but I guess we talked about it. So,
I keep saying we gotta leave something. Leave something for the imagination.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you. Gonna wrap this up. Have a very good evening, everyone, and appreciate you all. See you in the Discord.